grass. I mean,
Yeah.
it doesn't have to be in just that gravel area. It could go
Yeah.
part of grass then.
I was talking to Mr. Marucci earlier too, and I'm just going to, before you guys get started, I just want to express my condolences at the loss of our city employee last week.
Yeah.
I was just shocked and devastated when I heard about it.
Sad.
So,
We all were, Gary.
yeah, it just, that's never easy, and especially under those kind of conditions. So, you know, my thoughts and prayers are certainly with the family and everybody in the city who knew the gentleman and that stuff too.
Right.
Mhm.
Right.
And we're getting ready, so I'm going to mute myself.
Okay. Mary, where's your background of Hawaii?
Welcome
decided to
everyone.
change
Excuse
it.
me. It's time to start our Eastpointe City Council meeting. I like to do things on time. So welcome everyone and Happy New Year. And this is our first Eastpointe City Council meeting of the year on Tuesday, January 5th of 2021 at 7 p.m. Like we always do, we start our meetings with prayer. And we always do it with our Mayor Pro Tem, Councilwoman Sarah Lucido. And then we continue with our Pledge of Allegiance. Good evening, Council and residents. Ms. Lucido,
Thank you, Mayor.
Happy New Year.
Dear God, we thank you for the time that many of us were able to spend with our loved ones over this holiday season. Thank you for teaching us the importance of family and friends during difficult times. You have helped us to realize that the real meaning of the season is to take joy in the simple act of being together and displaying charity towards our neighbors and those in the broader community. We ask that you comfort those of us who have lost loved ones this year, especially the family and friends of Brian Theobald. It is in your name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge
Pledge
allegiance
allegiance
to
to
the
the
flag
flag of the United States of America and to the
To the
republic
republic
for which it
for
stands, one nation, under God, indivisible,
indivisible,
with liberty and
with
justice for all. Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. And if you guys allow me to give us 1 minute for a moment of silence for the Theobald family, who we lost our great DPW worker a couple days ago in a fatal accident in our city. Would you mind bowing your heads, please, for a moment of silence? Thank you. And before we start our roll call, I want to do a memorial biography on the Theobald family. First name was Brian. He had 2 children and a beautiful wife. The Eastpointe City family is mourning the passing of our fellow employee and friend, Brian Theobald, who tragically lost his life on December 30th, 2020. He leaves behind his beloved wife, Deanna Theobald, and children Joshua and Kennedy. He is also survived by his parents, Linda and Lyle Theobald, siblings Monica, her husband Chris, Keith, his wife Tammy, Gina, and her husband Ryan. He was born and raised in Harrison Township and graduated from Lance Cruz in 1993. Ryan began his career in Eastpointe with the Department of Public Works 13 years ago. He brought nearly 30 years of experience and several career certifications to do his role. He was a dedicated employee and provided support and guidance to fellow co-workers as the local union steward for the majority of his tenure. His co-workers could always count on his skill, wisdom, and direction. He is remembered as a good man, fair, hardworking, dedicated, and honorable. In his spare time, Brian loved to be on his boat in the summer and in the UP snowmobiling in the winter. He also loved playing and coaching baseball. Our flags have been lowered to honor our fallen coworker and friend. Thank you again to our city manager for researching and getting that together to let the residents know and his family know how much we cared about him, and also the coworkers that cared and loved him as well. Again, many prayers from us, Eastpointe, the mayor and council, to your family. Moving right along. Can we have a roll call, please?
Mayor Owens,
Here.
Councilmember Lucido,
Here.
Councilmember Curley,
Here, Eastpointe.
Councilmember Moore,
Here in Eastpointe.
Councilmember DeMonico,
Here, Eastpointe.
Mayor Owens here at Eastpointe as well.
Sarah Lucido, Eastpointe also.
Thank you, Ms. Lucido. Now we're going to go to the approval of the agenda, and I would like to add an item to new business, item I, and I want to call that the Eastpointe Promise Scholarship.
Madam Mayor,
Yes, ma'am.
there's a couple of changes I would like to make to the agenda too with council's approval. One is for item D, work session date for proposed fee schedule changes. I
Okay.
would like to change that to a work session still, but instead of just proposed fee schedule changes, also add a budget workshop. So if there's anything at that time that we want to discuss for the budget or anything like that, we could, add that in at that time and maybe have some of the department heads come forward and tell us kind of like their plans on what they're planning putting in the budget for this next coming up fiscal year.
Okay.
So I'd like to change that on item D, and I would also like to add item J, and that's just to schedule the city manager's 1-year review. So I'll make a motion to add those two changes and also add item I that you recommended, Eastpointe Promise Scholarship.
Mayor Pro Tem. Okay. I'll second that if we can add in tabling the ranked choice voting resolution.
Yes. I will amend my motion to table item A under unfinished business.
All right, I'll support that.
Before we move along with that, did Ms. Doom want that in closed session, the review, or an open session? I know she has the choice to do either one. I'm gonna ask her.
She can email us that recommendation, I think, can't she?
Yes, as long as, Madam Mayor, as long as the request is in writing, Ms. Doom can simply send that to all the council members requesting that it be in closed session if she chooses to do that.
Did you get that, Ms. Doom?
I did, thank you.
I didn't know if you knew those, you had those choices.
Probably in writing, but that's fine.
Did you know that prior to?
I
Tonight?
knew that it was an option, but I didn't realize it was right in writing.
Okay, so it sounds like you do want it in closed session.
Sure, but I'll put it in writing.
So since she has to put that in writing, I mean, can she send us an email right now as we go along to have it in writing, or do we need to table it to the next meeting, or?
Oh, Madam Mayor, I'm sorry. I'm not adding her review tonight.
Okay,
I'm adding to
Okay.
schedule her review.
oh, to schedule it, okay. Thank you.
Well, I mean, we can do it, in the next meeting or the meeting after
Okay.
that, whatever,
Okay. So now she knows she has to put that in writing if she wanted it in closed session, so we can have all that prepared before then. Okay, we have a motion and we have support. Please call the roll. Thank you.
Councilmember Lucido,
Yes.
Councilmember DeMonico,
Yes.
Councilmember Curley,
Yes.
Mayor Owens,
Yes,
Councilmember Moore,
Yes.
thank you. Next item is the hearing of the public. This is the first hearing of the public for many who just came to their first council meeting. The hearing of the public, you have 3 minutes to voice your concerns, opinions, and your ideas to council. And you have a second, we have a second hearing of the public closer to the end, and you get an additional 3 minutes. And we ask you to say your name and your residency. Even if you don't live in Eastpointe, you're still welcome to, have your opinions and ideas and things like that. We always welcome that. And we ask you to be respectful. to the residents and to the people listening. Now the first hearing of the public is now open. And also, when you're close to 1 minute, I'll let you know, just so you can start summing up what you have to say, because I don't want to interrupt you. So once it's coming, your 2 minutes comes up, I'll let you know you have 1 more minute left, so you can start summing it up. And again, you have an additional 3 minutes at the end. Who's monitoring this right now? Is it Ms. Doom or Ms. Walton?
I am, Mayor. I don't see anything in the group chat. I'm clicking through the screens now.
Happy New Year, Ms. Walton.
Happy New Year. I'm not seeing anything.
Okay, well, the first hearing of the public is now closed. We're
Madam
gonna,
Mayor, I'm sorry, this is Otis Gatson.
hi, Happy New
Hi.
Year.
Happy New Year. I'm not sure if everyone can see, because I'm doing the main host, and there is a Linda Flans. She sent 2 private items. I don't know if you want me to read them out to everyone.
Oh, yes, please.
Okay. So it's from Linda Flans. She said 2 things. I do not support ranked choice voting. It cost the city a lot of money and did not change the outcome in either of the elections it was used in. From the feedback from the Facebook post concerning it, the majority of the residents do not support this either. I don't understand why we would encourage other cities to take on ranked choice voting when it cost a lot and didn't make a difference, and the majority of residents are against it. I want to remind council that their job is to work for the residents and not push their own political agendas, especially when the majority of residents are against something. Secondly, I have concerns over adding basketball courts. I had a coworker that lived directly across from the basketball courts that were at Memorial Park, and she ended up moving because the fights were so bad and seemingly continual. I think this is one reason we do not have them now. I would caution council to look at years past when we did have them at Memorial Park and look at, and it stops there.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Gasson, for reading that. And thank you
You're
to
welcome.
the resident that took time out to voice her opinion. We appreciate that as well. Seeing that was it, we're gonna move right along to the approval of the minute.
No. Is there still public comment period, please?
Yes, it is. We have
I'm
someone
sorry,
monitoring it. You said-
I connected late. I apologize.
Okay, well, you just actually missed it, but since you're so adamant and you have so much energy, please, we just closed it. So since we can't see you and it's still new to a lot of people, please state your name and your residency, please.
Okay, thank you. And I will try to make this as quickly as possible. Karen Moragian, Eastpointe resident. I do want to address this real quick. This was in the C&G newspaper. There was a live nativity scene that was held December 13th using exotic animals. And you know me, if I would have known about that prior, I would have been all over council to have that event canceled. I do want to bring to council's attention, along with you, Mayor Owens, that the Spanish flu in 1918, AIDS, Ebola, mad cow disease, SARS, MERS, swine flu, avian bird flu, and others, and also including COVID-19, are the results of human interference with animals and/or consumption of bushmeat. So, you know, this is really up to Eastpointe to ensure the public safety in not allowing petting zoos or any event using the use of exotic animals under the guise of fundraisers, winter events, or live nativity scenes, which that's what St. Veronica's did, you know, claiming that it was socially distanced outside. We are in the midst of a pandemic. The CDC and hospitals, nurses, doctors, they're all begging people, please follow the CDC guidelines. Don't gather in groups. You know, you have to socially distance. This event was just reckless, and it shows absolutely no regard for the welfare of these animals. There's no animal control present. These events are always held when animal control is not available. MGuard regulations are not followed, and you surely cannot count on the people who drag these poor animals from event to event to event to event to be responsible in monitoring how humans are interacting with the animals. I have taken notes and photographed these petting zoos. I've watched people feed the wrong food to these animals. And there was a 2-year-old reindeer that died because a visitor fed the animal sweets and bread. This is reckless. These animals, none of them are widgets. And
Seconds
this
left,
whole
ma'am.
thing, okay, this whole thing about, well, you know, we wouldn't have any experience with the animals otherwise. Take that money that's used for these petting zoos and put it into having a field trip for the kids where they can go to rescues that are responsible and when it's safe to do so. Because continuing to allow these events, it's not only endangering the safety, well-being, and lives of the
Time is
animals,
up,
but
ma'am.
also the public. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Good to hear your voice. Happy New Year.
As to you.
Thank you. Moving right along. The approval of the minutes.
Madam Mayor,
Yes.
I would move that we approve the minutes of the regular meeting from December 15th, 2020.
A second.
Moved and supported. Please call the roll.
Councilmember Curley,
Yes,
Councilmember Moore,
Yes.
Mayor Owens,
Yes.
Councilmember DeMonico,
Yes.
Councilmember Lucido.
Yes.
Thank you. We have no scheduled hearings. Our unfinished business was tabled. We're going to move right along to reports from administration, starting with our city manager, Ms. Doom. Happy New Year. Good evening.
Thank you. Can you hear me now? Randy sent me a text that it was difficult to hear my speaker.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, good, excellent. Well, it has been a very difficult week for all of us with the unexpected passing of our good friend and co-worker, Brian Theobald. And I want to send my condolences, our heartfelt caring and concern for the family, for his wife, Deanna, and children. And it's just been difficult for them and difficult for us. So that is my report for tonight.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any questions for the city manager, council?
Sure, I had one question, Mayor.
Yes, sir.
Ms. Doom, first, thanks for talking about Brian and recognizing him. Definitely a tragedy. I had a question about, and I'd like to preface it by saying I was in favor of it and like the lights on the police station and the fire station. But I was just curious how, because I see that the approval, of the bills is on this meeting, but of course they've already been on city buildings for a month, at least, and that sort of thing. How, and the whole project was over $5,000. Again, we've mentioned, this in the past, where any project over $5,000 should come to council. I don't know, just speaking for myself, I would have voted for this. I just want to make sure we're following the right sort of things, and that again, we're not, I saw a couple of the invoices were 4,000 and something. Like, how does the process work, and can we please prevent this, in the future, I guess?
First of all, yes, we will prevent this in the future. What happened was there are two people who have authorization, and it's been traditionally the assistant city manager that has the authorization to go through requisitions and approve them. And this event, the person who was approving those lights improperly without notification to me or notification to the council or request is no longer employed by the city of Eastpointe. And so going forward, I've instituted new checks and balances so that a person who shops and buys what we need, who does not have the authorization, they cannot go simply shop and then authorize their own purchases. And that's what happened this time, and it won't be happening again.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
That's the only question I had, Mayor.
Okay, thank you, sir. Moving right along to our finance director, Mr. Baum. Happy New Year. Good evening.
I have nothing to add to what's on the agenda. So unless you have questions, I'm done.
Council, any questions for our finance director? Saying none, moving right along to our city attorney, Mr. Albright. Happy New Year. Good evening.
Good evening and Happy New Year, Madam Mayor and members of council. Just a couple of items this evening. The first, city administration brought it to my attention, and this is regarding the medical marijuana facilities ordinance that the council previously passed. As the council's aware, there is a committee that is provided for in the ordinance itself, which will review the applications and make a decision. City administration is requesting that of the 3 members that sit on that committee, that they also be given the option to have a designee in the event they are not able to attend any meetings. Presently, the city manager or designee that is provided for, but for the other members of the committee, there isn't any language that would provide for a designee. And so what city administration is requesting, and I can bring this before the council for first reading, it would be a simple ordinance amendment, just allowing for the committee members or their designees to sit as a committee and then make decisions with regard to the medical marijuana license applications. The only other item I have, Madam Mayor, is the council's in receipt of our monthly status report. It is a little shorter than in previous months, and I'm certainly happy to answer any questions that the council may have.
Thank you, sir. Council,
welcome.
any questions for our city attorney? Saying none, I'm going to add administrator, our director, to the reports from administration, because I feel like what he has to say about our safety in our city, he needs to start being added to reports from administration. Our director and our public safety, our chief of police, Director Rohit. Good evening, Happy New Year.
Evening, Madam Mayor. How are you?
I'm good. I'm gonna start adding you to this agenda because I think the residents need to know our crime stats and what's going on as far as our city and our neighborhood watch and things like that. And if our council has any questions for you, then we can do that right now. So.
Yeah, today I just submitted the 2020 crime report to Ms. Doom. There's some good news and some bad news, but overall, I must say property crimes are down in respect to larcenies and burglaries. There was a slight increase in auto thefts, and we did have a bad year for homicides. We had 6 this year compared to 3 last year. On a good note, we solved 5 out of the 6 cases. We're still working on the other one. But overall, there was everything's pretty even except the burglaries are down and larcenies are down. Assaults are compared to last year about the same. So the neighborhood watch group, I'm just hoping that we get these vaccinations out so we can start meeting again. We do keep in touch with all our neighborhood watch supporters. We're always putting out blogs on our web pages. But I'm looking forward to having meetings again one-on-one, and we have a lot of things set for this year. So looking forward to that. But overall, both the police and fire departments are doing very well. And I just want this pandemic to end, just like the rest of us.
Okay, thank you. Any questions for our director, council? I have a real quick question, Director. What are some of the new programs that are coming to the police department that helps the city? As far as, decreasing crime and things like that.
Well, the neighborhood watch group, we want to kind of expand that. I would like to have a lot of our group members start patrolling the blocks, with partners. We would provide them with radios. They can also use their personal vehicles. We also like to expand the reserve police program. I mean, right now, we just added the bike patrol. They just started that last year, but we'll be in full force this spring and summer. They will spend a lot more time in the parks, the schools. And what I like to do also is I'm looking at putting together a program to help juveniles that maybe have one parent families or they're right on the border of maybe, they're at the crossroads. We can help them, guide them. And I also use that as a mentoring tool and possibly to recruit. The recruitment program definitely needs some work, and it'd be nice to get some young people in. So we have a lot of things going on. I mean, probably about 50 different things going on. It's just a matter of prioritizing. So
Yes, sir. Well, you have a lot of things going on, and I appreciate the work that you and the officers in the fire has been doing. Good job. As well as those listening. You saw some of the things that the director was talking about. He can't do it by himself. So if you ever thought about being a reserve officer, or about programs that can help him, let's start helping our directors, help our council, and even help your mayor with ideas and things like that. We can't do it by ourselves. We're here to serve you. So help us do that. So thank you, Director.
you're
So
welcome.
we're gonna go ahead on to new business. To item A, adoption of resolution 21-1913, authorizing deficit elimination plan for the street lighting fund. Now, this is was written up by our Director of Finance. Anybody have any questions for him before we go into this? Seeing none. Council?
Madam Mayor, I'll make a motion to adopt resolution number 21-1913, authorizing the deficit elimination plan for the street lighting fund.
I second.
Motion and support. Yes, sir.
Sorry, I did have one quick comment or question for Mr. Blum. This was, essentially, well, what's the reason we needed to do this? I think I might know. Is it because we missed a cycle here on the
Right. The street lighting special assessment was renewed, but it was renewed too late to get it on the winter 2019 tax bill. So it didn't go on until the July 20 tax bill. So it created a deficit in last fiscal year because the revenue, just timing for the revenue. The resolution is a requirement by state treasury to show that we have a deficit elimination plan.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Thank you, sir. Motion and support, please call the roll.
Councilmember Lucido,
Yes.
Councilmember Moore,
Yes.
Councilmember DeMonico,
Yes.
Councilmember Curley,
Yes.
Mayor Owens,
Yes. Moving right along to item B, adoption of resolution 21-1914, authorizing deficit elimination plan for court building fund. Again, we have our Director of Finance. If you have any questions concerning this item.
Madam Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I'll make a motion to get it on the floor. I move that we adopt resolution number 21-1914, authorizing the deficit elimination plan for the court building fund.
Or
Moved and supported, please call the roll.
Councilmember Curley,
Yes.
Councilmember Lucido,
yes.
Mayor Owens,
Yes.
Councilmember Moore,
Yes.
Councilmember DeMonico,
Yes.
Next item, item C, establishment of a public hearing for 2021 Community Development Block Grant Program. Council, any discussion?
Madam Mayor, I'll motion to establish a public hearing for Tuesday, February 2nd at 7 p.m. to solicit public comments on the city's 2021 Community Development Block Grant Program,
It was on there to begin with.
in which the city has been allocated $23,600 in public service funds and potentially up to $150,000 in brick and mortar funding.
Support.
Moved and supported, please call the roll.
Councilmember Lucido,
Yes.
Councilmember DeMonico,
Yes.
Councilmember Moore,
Yes.
Councilmember Curley,
Yes.
Mayor Owens.
Yes. Next item, item D, work session, date selection for proposed fee schedule changes. Also, you want a budget meeting as well, Ms. Lucido, correct?
Right, and for the budget workshop, I thought we might be able to do it all in one meeting.
Okay. And a budget workshop.
Sounds good to me. Should we just do it on a Tuesday? Maybe a middle Tuesday?
Yeah, but I was thinking because we're gonna do the budget workshop, maybe we should try to maybe do it in March.
Okay.
Because I don't think it's a rush to do the fee schedule. So I think we could wait a little bit, so it's a little bit closer to the budget.
That's fine with me. If administrators want to send information on the fee schedule ahead of time also as they have it, that'd be helpful then too.
So an off Tuesday would be either Tuesday the 10th or Tuesday the 24th. I agree having it on an off Tuesday, not the same day as a council meeting. I could either the 10th or 24th would be okay with me.
Madam Mayor,
Yes, sir.
are those
Yeah,
dates in March?
Yes.
Yeah, March.
That would be the 9th and the 23rd, right?
Yes.
Yes.
The 23rd.
Oh, yeah, you're right. It's the 9th and the 21st. I was looking at the wrong day.
23rd.
Yeah, the
23rd.
9th and the 23rd.
I would propose probably the 23rd, just so we don't have 3 meetings in a row. That way it's only 2 because it's a 5 Tuesday month.
Okay.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
If that works for everyone else. I mean, there's no, I can do either date.
I'll do the 23rd. I agree to that.
We want to make it earlier than 7 o'clock, or is 7 o'clock better for everybody?
I
Yeah,
can
I
do
just-
earlier.
You guys want to do 7 or 6? I know a lot of our earlier meetings are at 6. I don't know everybody's schedule. I know a lot of people have, like me, have the children. So,
Well, would 6 be all right with you, Mayor, with your kids?
yes, sir. You guys want to do 6 p.m.?
I'd rather do it 6 because I have a feeling it's going to be a very long meeting, and if we could start it at 6, it won't be so bad.
Fine with me.
Fine.
I work outside the house and I get off at 5, as
Okay.
long as traffic is fine and I try to get home in enough time. I'll be pushing it.
How about 6:30?
Yes, 6:30 is perfect. I just don't want to be late.
Yeah, we don't want to rush you either.
No,
Yeah.
if you're just coming home from work, let's make it 6:30.
Okay.
Madam
Okay.
Mayor?
Special
That's
meeting.
fine.
All right.
6:30. Sounds good. March 23rd.
Okay.
Okay, moving right along to item E. I don't believe we need a vote on that, do we, Mr. Albright, on a working section date?
There, Madam Mayor, there is a recommended motion on the summary sheet, so that would be appropriate for someone to make the motion to have it seconded.
Okay,
So
Counsel?
moved.
Support.
moved and supported. Call the roll, please.
Councilmember Curley,
Yes.
Councilmember Lucido,
Yes.
Mayor Owens,
Yes.
Councilmember Moore,
Yes.
Councilmember DeMonico.
Yes.
Thank you. Item E, appointment of a Civil Service Commission board member to replace Kathy Galen. And we have a recommendation by our Mayor Pro Tem, Ms. Lucido. Ms.
Yes,
Lucido?
Madam Mayor, I would motion to appoint Walter Martin as the chairperson for the Civil Service Commission Board with a term that will expire on April 15th, 2024.
Support.
Moved and supported. Please call the roll.
Councilmember Lucido,
Yes.
Councilmember DeMonico,
Yes.
Councilmember Curley,
Yes.
Mayor Owens,
Yes.
Councilmember Moore,
Yes.
Next item F, special temporary outdoor seating policy for social distancing compliance in response to COVID-19. We have our new building director in the meeting. Happy New Year and good evening. If anyone has any questions for her that has to do with this, ask her questions now. If not, let's proceed
I do. I have a question.
Where's our building? Oh, hi. Good evening. Happy New Year.
Good evening. Thank you, Madam Mayor, and Happy New Year to all of you as well.
Hi. You know, the question that I have with trying to understand, well, what happened? With trying to understand outside seating, is the only difference that the air circulation is not inside the building? Because once they hook it all up in the tent, it just seems to be like they're inside again.
That's a good question. The goal of this and what we've done in putting this together is look at the city of St. Clair Shores and what they've been able to do to allow businesses to open. So it's my understanding the goal would be to have an open tent. And what we've done with this package and working with our fire chief is see what's being done in other communities that comply and allow people to gather safely. I know there's a number of criteria, including complying with the governor's orders. And it's my understanding that it would be open to allow airflow in. And they're still asking to mandate the social distancing. So I don't know that I've given you a great answer, but I know I've seen in driving throughout the communities, different types of tents, different styles of tents. You know, the goal and my understanding of what we're trying to allow here, and this will only apply to a few select businesses that would even be able, based on all of their particular restrictions, to do this. But this is something we're seeing in other communities, and in discussion with our fire marshal that he's comfortable with these provisions that have been adopted in St. Clair Shores. I was able to discuss with our attorney, Mr. Albright, what's being done in other communities throughout Michigan. And there are different processes, but what we're doing here is asking that this is an open tent, that there are, you know, the 2 exits. It spells out specifically spacing requirements, fire safety type issues, and even calls out what type of heaters would be safe within the tent area for the gathering purposes. One business particularly, and I don't know that I see the owner on with us tonight. I know he did say that he was hoping to join us, was Big Daddy Games, the new property on Kelly Road that's been under great renovations. And this business owner has reached out to us and asked us if we would consider a policy like this, as they're doing in other communities. And because of the support that we received in discussions with the fire chief, that was the reason for bringing the before you this evening for some consideration. So I see that our fire marshal is with us this evening, and Madam Mayor and council members, if it so pleases you, I would ask him to please weigh in on this as well.
I think Mayor Pro Tem Lucido had a question real quick before we went right into
sorry.
No, I didn't have a question. I'm pretty sure according to the health department guidelines, they only can have one side of the tent down. 3 sides have to be open. That's according to the state guidelines.
Fire Castle.
That's correct. With a lot of the tents that in discussions that were being proposed were not closed tents, but open. And I know it seems counterproductive to have an opening with these heaters, but the types of heaters that have been reviewed and approved are ones that would not create an issue with fire safety as far as mixing plastic with open flame. So these, in all of the research that's been done, and you're absolutely right though, Councilwoman Lucido, that the guidelines from the health department, who would also be involved in this process at, in discussions and asking them for feedback, is to find a way to allow our businesses to open up and carry on and serve our residents while keeping everybody safe.
We have our fire chief, Mr. Sage, on the line. If you want to put any feedback or say anything in addition to this.
I don't, if it must have went through as Chief Sage, but this is Fire Marshal Marquardt. Yes, our main goal, I've been in a lot of work with Ms. Harscastle there regarding the outside seating and tents. The fire code does have specific guidance on where tents can be placed. And so we're just trying to be proactive with our businesses and allow them to be able to open up and try and, you know, recover from this and earn some money. We're just looking at different avenues. St. Clair Shores Fire Marshal over there did a lot of research on those heaters. And so they are very low wattage and very, very low fire risk. So that's awesome. We would only approve those. And our main goal is to let our businesses be able to open up if they can. You know, and as far as how they're set up with the health department, that's going to be on them, whether it's, you know, one side, three sides. My daughter works at a restaurant and they have a couple of bigger tents, but they have dividers in there. So only one family is in one section. And then they have the igloos, but those are totally disinfected and spray decontaminated after every use. So there is options out there. We're just trying to be as user friendly as we can to get our businesses up and running.
Thank you. Thank you.
Madam Mayor, if I could chime in just with a couple of comments as well.
Yes, sir, please.
Oh, thank you. Madam Mayor, members of council, I did have an opportunity to look at what some of the other municipalities are doing. For instance, the city of Plymouth, Chelsea, Ann Arbor, they all have similar types of policies. How they created their policies was by way of a resolution. The council can certainly adopt a policy by way of a motion. I would recommend, though, that there be a time frame in there. I see that some of the other communities extended this type of approval through March 31st of 2021. And thereafter, if that time frame is not extended, then if someone would like to, a property owner would like to continue using their property for that, that they would have to then go through the normal channels, requesting a special use permit, which would be requested through the Planning Commission and then ultimately approved by the City Council. I would also recommend that if a motion is made, that there also be provisions in there that the property owner is responsible for ice removal and keeping the patios and public walkways cleared, that the city be held harmless and indemnified and also listed as an additional insured on the establishment's insurance policy if this is something that they were interested in.
Sounds good. Any more questions?
Sure, Mayor. I had a question. And thank you, Rich, for a couple of those points for some of mine. I guess, first of all, from a practical standpoint, is Ms. Hardcastle, is that the only business to have reached out to us so far then about doing something like this?
Yes, so far, I do know that Big Daddy Games has interest in taking advantage of this this idea or provision that the council is considering. In talking with Ms. Holman, our community development director, we've identified a handful of other businesses that we would reach out to with council's approval and blessing to see if they had interest and if we could walk them through the process just to enable them to open up and serve our residents again or their customers. And as our fire marshal said, to try and keep them afloat. But as of now, that's correct. Big Daddy Games would be the first one that we would be trying to go through this process. And then my hope is that there will be the few other businesses that have the space and the ability would follow suit. I know it's for a short period of time. It was just something that we were trying to bring forward as a solution to help our businesses right now that, have shared that in different ways that they're struggling.
Is that business open right now? Big Daddy Games, like the regular business?
Not yet. They are just wrapping up their final approvals and finishing the last phase of getting the health department's blessings. So their hope is very soon.
I guess my preference then I think would be if we could bring this forward in like a resolution format and include what Mr. Albright's talked about, hold harmless the city, an end date and things like that. I think that'd be at least my personal preference, because right now I think I'm, it says to approve the proposed policy, but I wouldn't consider a letter to the business or a form that they're filling out the policy. I would just want to see something, in a more, I guess, official format.
Anything else, Council?
Yeah, Madam Mayor, I would agree with Cardi, and I'm glad Rich spoke up and added 2 or 3 different things that is not on our paperwork tonight. So I would like to see the attorney write up a resolution, and we'll put it on our next council meeting to have it voted on.
Okay.
But Madam Mayor, I just let me say, then we'll finish. I do like the idea. All 5 of us talk on a regular basis about how important businesses are in our city. I think we all 5 would agree with that. And this is first step of reaching out to the businesses to say, hey, we're here, we want to help you. This is one of our ideas that we've got. So I applaud whoever brought this idea up.
Good idea. It sounds like Big Daddy Games did. So thank you for bringing this idea up and investing in Eastpointe.
Madam Mayor, I'm sorry to interrupt, Madam Mayor. This was
go ahead.
under the direction of our fire marshal.
Oh, well,
I
thank
want
you,
to give
Fire
credit
Marshal.
where it's due. Thank
Yay
Okay.
for the fire marshal.
Thank you for the Fire Marshal.
Yay.
Thank you.
Thank you. And we're going to come back, and Mr. Albright, you'll have that information for us as well.
Madam Mayor, what I would recommend is that a motion to table would be in order, and then what I will do is I will get with city administration. We will come up with a proposed resolution, and it will be on the city council's next agenda for discussion and possibly voting on.
Sounds good. Ms. Lucido?
Well, I was just wondering, do we even need to table it because you're bringing back a resolution and this was a discussion on policy? I don't know.
Yeah, so we're talking about 2 different things now. I agree. So we should be able to move right along, Mr. Albright, because we're doing a resolution. We're not doing this at all.
That would be fine. I know what I need to do. Thank you.
Thank you. Moving right along, discussion on city council conference and travel policy brought up by our Councilman DeMonico. Councilman DeMonico, you have the floor.
Sure. Thank you, Mayor. Since we discussed the City Council conference and travel policy at our last meeting, I had added it to this agenda, and I provided the minutes and the draft council or the draft City Council conference and travel policy from Ryan Cotton when he was the interim city manager, and then a link to the minutes of that meeting also. I figured that we could actually just vote, put a policy together and make one, since we never ended up doing that. I think it was probably just lost in the shuffle since he proposed it. And then of course we hired Ms. Doom, and I think we just, never brought it back to the council table. So that is why I added it to the agenda.
Council?
So I have a question, Councilman. So this states that this is the conference and travel policy. And you said that we spoke about this at the last meeting. Does this encompass education or what? Because I didn't see that in here.
Oh, sorry. So first of all, it was a proposal from our last city manager. We've never, as far as I know, we don't really have an official policy. We've voted on the $1,500 per council member and $1,725 for the mayor. But we, I think that would have been in probably around that time that we voted on those amounts for each person, but we never like voted on a sort of policy as to what, those expenses could be used for or anything like that.
Okay, so when you say conferences and travel policy, does that encompass education? Is that part of that? Because I didn't, is it in there?
Sure, yeah, I probably should brought these back up on my screen here. But yeah, it was supposed to just cover, any education, like we've, gone to MML conferences, or if SEMCOG hosts any training or anything like that, we've used it for that in the past. I used it for the Clinton River watershed annual meeting. Just anything, to me, I would think anything that furthers the aims of the whole city that an individual council person would need to take part in, I think should be part of a policy. That specific policy was from Ryan Cotton, and I think it touched on some of that. I thought I had it printed out, but I'll have to pull it up again here. Does that answer your question?
Not really. I guess because like when you say conference and travel policy, I know with COVID, we won't really be traveling this year, not too much unless they get it up under some kind of control. I mean, we will be doing Zoom things, I'm sure, in Zoom meetings or conferences, but with this year won't be any type of travel. And I guess I was kind of, I know it says a fiscal year for educational and training expenses. I see it within it, but I didn't see it in the discussion for their policy. And, I wasn't sure if omitting a certain word would change the direction that it was going in, because it says conferences and travel policy and nothing about education.
Well, I think we can come up with any policy we want right now. So.
Ms. Lucido?
Yes.
I'm sorry, Ms. Moore.
Sorry, thank you. Yeah, I think from everything that in the past, how we've ever done anything, it's kind of been unclear, like what the money can even be used for, what it cannot be used for. I think it might just be better to just, we have a city council budget that we're allotted to use for conferences, for education, or, sometimes travel expenses if we are going to a conference. I realize this year we're not. So I think that we should just make it where if someone wants to do something, put it on the agenda, bring it to council, have us vote on it, and then move on. I think it's just plain and simple, make it very easy, just vote on everything.
Anyone else? Ms. Moore.
Yeah, I'm sorry. So quick understanding. So if we are allotted the $1,500, which we are, then we need to get a vote on everything that we decide to do. Is that what you're saying, Councilwoman?
That would be my recommendation, just so, no one's saying, well, people are saying I should use it for this or shouldn't use it for that. It's the taxpayers' money. I mean, ultimately, it's not our money. It's the residents' money. It belongs to the residents.
Right.
As long as the council believes that it's in the best interest of the residents for us to be spending the money that way. So yes, I think everything should be approved.
Mm-hmm. Anybody else have anything to say?
Yeah, Madam Mayor.
Oh, I'm sorry, Councilman Curley.
Oh, thank you, Madam Mayor. Yeah, that probably makes sense. It's, what's the word that people are using now? Transparent. And I think all of us want to be transparent. And if I want to go to a conference or whatever, and I bring it to the council, say, hey, look, I want to go to a MML conference on Mackinac Island, whatever, and here's the cost. Then the council can say, well, that's pretty legitimate to us, so they would vote on it. So, hey, yeah, that's just because of its transparent is probably why I would lean toward that more than anything else. And I don't ever remember anybody ever being turned down in the 12 years I was mayor and 2 years I was on a council before, back in the 80s. I don't remember anybody ever being turned down, so that should not be a concern. But it's transparent anyway.
Right. So Councilman Curley, quick question. Has
Yep.
there ever been a policy?
You know what? I'll try to click my brain. I don't know. I don't remember. All I can recall is if somebody wanted to go to a conference, and it's not just MML, there's a lot of really good conferences for us to be more trained or educated to be a better
Right.
official, a better council person, or mayor either. So no, but I don't recall if there was an official policy, because if there wasn't, it'd still be there probably, even after 20
Right.
years.
Right. Well, has there ever been any abuse of the funding?
Not that
Or
I
someone
recall.
like went to the Bahamas or whatever, took their family?
No, no. Good question, but no, I don't remember it ever been abused. I don't remember that at all. I would say no.
Councilwoman, I have one item for that question. We'd been allocated the 1,500 or 1,725, and there was a council person, I don't know how this worked through city administration either, that spent just north of 3,000 in 1 year. I don't know how that was approved in 1 year. So we have not followed the budget line item, I guess, in the past. So I think a policy would be good, and then we need to prevent any specific council person from going over their allocated amount.
Was the 3,000 approved pertaining to education and conferences?
So Mayor, yeah, I'm talking about you a couple years ago.
Of
with
course you are. But I'm
Mackinac
asking the
County.
question, was the money used for education in a conference?
Yeah, but that's not the, so yes, it was a Mackinac policy conference, that would be policy, but the amount was 2,300 just for that, and we're only allocated 1,500 per year. So that alone was already higher than the amount that we're allocated.
Understood. But the question was it used according to what it's for?
I mean, I don't know what sessions or anything that you'd gone to then. I don't remember you debriefing about it at any council meeting, so I do not know, to be frank. I've never been to it before.
You have never been, and no council member or mayor has ever been to that policy conference, ever, so you don't know what it's about, but I do.
Okay, but again, that's not it's just the amount. I mean, it's more than the amount we're allocated, so I don't know how that was approved by city administration. You know,
You want
Mr.
to ask
Plum,
me since I went? You want to ask me?
well, I mean, so if I can just go into City Hall and just get, I mean, I guess I'll be in tomorrow for, I'll just incur $2,300 in expenses, and city's just gonna approve it.
No, that's what happens when we get Christmas lights. But that's not what happens when we get educated. That's not how it goes. So don't assume that was how it was done. It was professionally done. Director Blum, you were there and you allocated those funds because it was at the end of the budget year. They were allocated, and prior council meeting that council member Monaco was in stated that we can use those funds for education purposes. Mr. Blum?
Question?
Was that money allocated for, we had the money in the budget that was close to the next fiscal year. So we were closing out the fiscal year. We had that money left over for education, and that's why it was used for the policy conference, correct?
Correct. And at that time, excuse me, at that time, there was not a budget amount specified per council person. It was a total budget. It was just a lump sum. And the previous city manager knew there was money available and authorized the expenditure.
So was anything done wrong, Mr. Blum?
Not from a budgetary standpoint, absolutely not.
Thank you. So you just told me from our finance director, proof that nothing was done. It was done through the city manager and our finance director, which was no budget, and it was used for education. In which I seen my Mayor Duggan, our state representative, our senator, and plenty of other colleagues there that I brung light to Eastpointe that never heard of Eastpointe and want to bring business to Eastpointe. So, Councilman DeMonico, again, what was done wrong?
I mean, I would just disagree in one point with Mr. Blum. The money is split between everybody and you went over your amount. You know, we got to divide it by 5. Yeah, we didn't hit the line item for the total council. But so also I added this agenda item before I found out about another item. From what I understand, you've also registered for 2 college courses, which is beyond your allocation again. And I don't know how this was approved through city administration either, because we've approved the individual amounts, but then you went over your amount again this year, as far as I understand. What's the case with that then?
I'm glad you asked me and not assumed this time. I appreciate that. Well, with my $1,725, I took a leadership class. I did. As a mayor, I feel that being a first-time mayor at that, I feel like having leadership training is good for me to be a better mayor, to help the residents of Eastpointe, which I always also was allocated 2 other scholarships prior to being in this class at Harvard University. So Bloomberg, that I'm currently in, Bloomberg put a program together for mayors, because he felt like, as a past mayor, he felt like that mayors over cities should have as much education possible. So I'm in that class right now, and I'm also in a class coming up at Cambridge at Harvard, because they want the best for mayors, and they also want the best for council members too. I just happened to apply for those. And before I was a mayor, a councilwoman, I always tried to get educated in everything I could to be a better servant of the people, and I'm continuously do that. So going back to the $1,725 that was allocated yearly, I use that for leadership, for organization, which the city is an organization, and help better be a better mayor in doing that. So I'm able to find the resources and assist the residents with my information and my education. And the other one is also a leadership class as well. And that additional funding was made from a prior council meeting, which our last council meeting was, which the council agreed to using their funds to help another council member. And so that's what the additional funding came in. Any other questions?
Well, at the last meeting, we didn't agree to just let someone else. We said we were open. You know, if you wanted to call me up and ask for a portion of my funds, I think we were kind of saying that, not just go ahead and use it and sign up for it. But also, yes or no, you've requested more than the 1725. It doesn't matter. The point is not what it's about at this point. You've requested more than the 1725. We're just trying to make a simple fit. You know, we had 1,500 per council person, 1725 for the mayor, and it's more than the 1725.
No, it's in the same pot of money for education. So I didn't go over budget, it's in the budget. And we talked about it last council meeting. So you might want to go over the minutes.
So you didn't request more than 1725?
You're talking, no, it's in the pot of the money, which another council members allowed. Now you're saying it's simple, and you're saying this is an easy thing, but you're not making it easy. Ms. Lucio.
Madam Mayor, I was kind of hoping that we wouldn't necessarily go into this tonight. It would just be basically talking about the policy. But with that said, I know that you and I talked briefly this week. So I did go back and I did watch the meeting. And I don't think anyone specifically, I do disagree, gave their money. I think there was agreement that with permission, you know, if you know, like say, if you needed extra money, if you would have called me and been like, hey, Mrs. Lucido, I was against the whole thing. I thought even at the last meeting that all of this should be voted on by the council. And that was, I think clear when I went back and watched it again, that that's how I felt. But I know there were other members that we're fine with this whole idea of like, if you did need the extra money, to reach out to a fellow council member and ask them. But I don't think any council members did say that they weren't going to use their money.
Oh, I didn't, I'm sorry. Can I speak, Madam Mayor?
Yes, Councilwoman Moore.
I'm sorry, I'm learning protocol, sorry. I didn't look back over or listen back to last month's meeting, but since I was the one who actually brought it up to the meeting, if I'm not mistaken, I thought that Councilman Curley had said that he was not going to school anymore and that he had, he was older and that he wasn't going to utilize his money. Is that not what was said, Councilman Curley?
Councilman Curley, please.
You're muted.
He's muted.
Can't hear you, sir.
I'm sorry.
Thank
To answer your question, I think the conversation was quite a long conversation, and I think the intent of the conversation was this, that if I was not going to use my money for education or conferences, I would be more than happy to have somebody use it. But the sentence in there was that if I'm not going to use it, then yeah, of course, somebody could use it. But I was surprised when I was told that a portion of my, I think it was $750 was taken from that fund, which now leaves me, I don't know, $450. So if they do have an MML conference this year, unless I get permission from the council to go and get additional funds, I won't be able to go to any conference. So the intent, Sylvia, was to say, if I'm not going to use it, a person could, someone else could use it.
I think Ms. Lucido has something to say,
Oh,
Councilwoman.
I was just going to say, yeah, I mean, I wrote down exactly what Mr. Curley said at the last meeting verbatim. So if, there is any question, I mean, it's basically exactly what he just said, but I did write it down because I know it was, a couple weeks ago. So, and it was a long conversation and a lot of things were said, so.
Ms. Doom, she's still there? What did you get from that meeting?
What I got from that meeting, of course, I don't have a perfect memory, but I do remember Mr. Curley saying something to the effect that if he wasn't going to, or he was not going to be going to conferences, that he'd be willing to share his funds.
Okay, so it sounds like the majority thought the same thing. So it doesn't seem like a misuse of funds. It sounds like Mr. Curley said something that everybody, except for Ms. Lucido, thought he said. So I'm still not understanding what's going on as far as one person. Hold on one minute, Ms. Lucido.
Okay.
If we have an open meeting talking about funding and council agrees to give their funding, and everybody has $1,500. Now, I know you've been a councilwoman for over almost 8 years now, and so has Councilman DeMonico, and Mr. Curley, Councilman Curley, has been the mayor and the council for several years. So and you guys haven't barely been using your funds for all these years. So now your councilwoman, now new mayor, is using the funds that you haven't used in years. I've been a councilwoman for 2 years, and you guys have never been to a Mackinac policy conference, not even you, Mr. Councilman Curley. Nobody since Eastpointe been Eastpointe, before it was East Detroit, no one's been to this policy conference. So it sounds like the councilwoman, now your mayor, has been trying to get educated to put Eastpointe in a place that has never been, and trying to get connected in places that you guys have not ever tried to get connected with, and using those funds to do those things. And so now you're creating a policy based on me. And I see a lot of things that you shouldn't be doing. So you guys need to be very careful in making policies surrounding your new mayor. That's all I want to say. Go ahead, Ms. Lucido.
So no, I agree. I've never gone to the Mackinac Island conference that you're referring to. I have reviewed the items that are on the Mackinac Island conference, because we usually do get that information sent to us, an invite to go. So I have reviewed it. I personally never found anything there that I thought that I would learn at that conference that would directly help the residents of the city of Eastpointe. That's why I've always made the decision not to attend. I really try to focus on choosing things that I think will benefit the community. When it does, different, and we all have our different, areas of interest that, when it comes to community and how we work with the community. Like, I know, for instance, we've all gone to MMLs before, and we all choose different breakout sessions and things like that on what we think is important. So
Right.
I do understand that. But like I said, Mr. Curley did say, and anyone's welcome to go back and watch the last meeting, it's towards the end, that he would be willing to give his money away if he was not going to use it. But he never once stated that he wasn't going to use it. But he did say that directly to Ms. Moore.
Okay.
Okay, well,
So-
Ms. Moore is not the only council person. We all are. So
No, you're right. I'm sorry, May. You're correct. But he actually, his last word of his statement was Sylvia. So that's why I said,
okay.
he said it to Ms. Moore. He followed you. You were speaking. He followed you with saying, absolutely. There is no carryover from one year to the next. You can't collect from whatever you get from year to year to get $10,000. So if I don't use it by then and know that I'm not going to use it, and there is a conference, you want to go to that would increase your knowledge, I would never have a problem with that, Sylvia. That was what he said.
Councilwoman Moore.
Oh, thank you, Madam
Welcome.
Mayor. So there's a total of, at the beginning of the budget, there's a total of $7,725 if you add everything together for the council and for the mayor. $7,725. At this point, how much has been used out of the $7,725? Miss, who would know that?
Ms. Doom
Miss Zoom?
Mr. Blum.
or Mr. Blum?
Mr. Boone, the financial, yes.
Yeah, I'm at home. I don't have access to the BSNA software, so I can't answer that right now.
All right, yeah, that would be something that I would like to know. How much of the $7,725 have been used up to this day? So when you get a chance, that would be great.
Okay. Councilman DeMonico, you want to continue?
Sure. So I think I'd just like to put a policy together. I think what Mayor Pro Tem Lucido was saying, I think we could just put a couple bullet points together and maybe we can ask Mr. Albright to put something together. But I think if we do, and I think this should encompass your recent request also, just every request should just go through us. I think what I'm gathering from this too is, personally, like I was saying, we should have a mission statement, I guess, in this too, because the item should help the city as a whole, and it has to pertain to city business to me. I mean, we should, it should be like that. That's the point of it. If we're learning things at MML, it's going to be directly things we're voting on. This MSU Extension Citizen Planner Program will be directly related to planning and this new 9 Mile project we have coming up, things like that. And that's how I vote. I mean, this should not be used for college courses to get a degree for yourself. That's not the role of a policymaker in a city or a council person. And I'm not sure if that's where we were going here. But I think if we do what Mayor Pro Tem Lucido says, then we can just, every single item comes through us. And then I guess we don't have to have a discussion like this again in the future then. So I
So
guess
again, I'm sorry,
motion,
go ahead.
my motion would just be to make a policy. We just have each education and training expense come through city council beforehand and it gets approved. And then you go forward. I don't know if we need any other points to it, maybe some sort of some mission state, some sort of statement that we can look at to approve each item.
I mean, all that's wonderful. I wish that was made 10 years ago before I became a mayor and a council. And I also have an additional question. I didn't know we were going to be, well, yes, I did. I knew this was going to be about me. So I kind of was prepared already. But you being a councilman almost 8 years, or a little bit over, if I'm right. And Miss Six.
I'm sorry, I
Okay.
just want to support the
And
motion
Miss-
because we're like halfway in between. So I just want to support it and then you can
Okay.
finish. I'm sorry, Mayor.
Okay. And then Ms. Lucido, I want to know what kind of classes have you all took since you guys been in office? I know you guys been in office way longer than I have.
I've been to plenty of MML stuff, probably mostly that and the Clinton River Watershed annual meeting recently, but
Okay.
Yes, Madam Mayor, Citizen Planner, I've just signed up for, and then I've done MML. It's hard for me, I will say, sometimes to do the classes because I am home with my children during the day. So a lot of the conferences and things like that, I don't have the ability to do the traveling or sometimes even the finance for like the lodging and things like that, unless it's something that's, covered by the event.
I know they have a lot of online classes. Have you
Madam
ever
Mayor?
did those online classes? Hold on one second.
Okay.
Before I interrupt-
Citizen Planner that I'm taking is online, so that's why I'm able to take it.
Okay.
Even though before when I was on the Planning Commission, they only offer it on Thursdays, which are the days of the Planning Commission meetings. So that's why I haven't been able to attend it before. But now that Mr. DeMonico is on the Planning Commission, I am
Okay.
able to. But yes, but most of them that I have found have been in person. This year's been a little bit of an exception, definitely with COVID. They're opening up a lot more to online. So I have been able to actually attend more. That's why this year I was actually able to do SEMCOG and MML, where normally I would only have probably done MML because it's just really hard for me to get a sitter for my son.
Okay, so that means you haven't taken that many classes. Mr. Councilman Curley.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Two things. Somebody just wrote, what happens to the funds if the person doesn't use it by the end of the budget? You don't really lose it. There's no carryover. In other words, if I had $1,500 this year and didn't use it, now I don't have $3,000 the following year. You just start from scratch. And just to comment, Madam Mayor, about did I attend a lot of conferences when I was a mayor? Let's go back 25 years. 25 years ago, in the mid-90s when I was a mayor, it's nothing like it is today. They had a lot less opportunities to go to conferences and educational things to make yourself a better public official. So it was a long time ago, Madam Mayor, 25 years ago. So they just didn't have the things they have now. That's what I was going to say. But
Okay.
I know there's a motion on the floor, but I just wanted to make that comment.
Okay, because I think colleges and universities been open over 25 years. So I just
Yeah,
want
I was a lot younger then, Madam Mayor.
that's why you should have went. That's what I'm saying. It would have, got that out the way. Anything else someone wants to add?
what about you, Madam Mayor? What are you planning to use the money on and what have you used it on?
I did the watershed like you have, MML. I did home inspection class where I paid out my own money to be real estate classes. I did with my own money. Went to Harvard, which I'm in now, or going to Harvard. I'm spending my own money to go there. They're going to teach me how to bring better resources to Eastpointe. I learned about the water, how the resources, how we can use our resources differently. MML, I was able to connect with a lot of people there. I went to other things beyond that because we talk about MML and Citizen Planner. Those are so limited. I talk to people all around the world with my own money, and I do a lot of things with my own money that have created avenues for citizens of Eastpointe. I've been working on a lot of things. So we talk about citizen planner, MML, watershed. I've been to mayor conferences and taken leadership classes, and I take a lot of stuff on my own because the money is so limited. It's less than $2,000. So I have to be strategic in how I use the money that's given by the taxpayer money, and I spend my own money. The reason I take a real estate class is because I want to better understand the zoning, the planning, how we sell our real estate, how we do with our residents, and taxes, and tax abatement and things like that. So I put my own self through school to better understand and better service the community. That's why when we talk about our tax reversion houses, I'm more educated than most because I know how things should be allocated in the zoning and things like that. I'm also taking a class in zoning, which Ms. Woman talked about. I'll be using my own funding, but actually, I think I connected with Mr. Blum and how to get a scholarship to actually learn how our zoning should be. And I want to take a PACER rating class because how our streets are different numbers by ratings from 1 through 4. I want to actually know how to do that myself. So when an engineer comes in and says the ground is a level 4 or whatever, I'll have a better educated knowledge of what he's saying. So when we get contracts and we get all these different bids, people are not just telling us things, we have some education in what they're saying. So they're just not selling us a dream. We know somewhat of what they're talking about. So, as council and as mayors, we deal with so much in this community, and most of us are not specialized in these things. Some people are not specialized in leadership. Some of you guys not specialized in engineering, real estate, and so many other things, and also law. So I do a lot of study in law. So when Mr. Albright talks about things, I know what he's talking about, and also I can research what he has researched myself and have a better understanding. So when we are elected, we should know each level of what everyone is coming to us, because we're dealing with $52 million of taxpayers' money, and we should know what we're signing and what we're doing. And so that's why I take these classes on behalf of bringing more money and revenue to the taxpayers. I haven't asked for an increase of the money that the taxpayers has given. I'm asking to use money that's already allocated that's not going to be used. And there's nothing wrong with making sure your council and your mayor is educated. They've been doing it since I was born. Yes, ma'am.
Madam, I'm sorry. I'm not opposed to anyone taking classes or anything. It's just that I think for the clarity of it all, to make sure that, if we have so much money in our budget, that it's going to be used and someone else doesn't want to use it. Because obviously, like this way we had it before, where it was even broken up for like $15,000 per person, is not working. So that's why we just approve everything. If everything's just brought to us and we approve it, then we run out of money at the end of the fiscal year. We run out of money in the budget at the end of the fiscal year. We are taking it upon ourselves to make those approvals. And just to answer the question in the chat box, the money just goes back into the general fund. So it's just used for, other things in the city. If we're not using it for education, it's not wasted money. It goes, into, fixing a sidewalk or street light or, something like that. It's not like wasted money. But like I said, I just think that I'm not opposed to anyone getting educated or approving certain classes, as long as the class is relevant. I mean, I know you want to take a lot of different classes, you have a lot of different interests, but also that is why we have our department heads and our city manager. I mean, I would hope that we would be able to depend on them to be able to give us a lot of that information and give their opinions, and we should be able to depend on that when it goes forward, when we move forward with making these policies, because ultimately that is our position, is to make the policies.
Our position is to make policies, and we are also overseers of the city manager who oversees our directors. So also we should know what each person's job consists of, know a little bit about each person's job. If you're over a city, you should know what different things and how things work in that city, Councilwoman Lucido. And we all do not,
We should definitely,
and we all don't. And I can admit, as a mayor, I'm new, and it's a lot of things that I don't know. And what I do know, I have brung it, and what I don't know, I will learn it. And I will continuously, Mr. DeMonico, with this money or not, will continuously, and I can't wait to announce when I'm the doctor. And I'll make sure I send you an invitation. So moving right along, we have motion and support. Oh, I'm sorry,
Madam-
Mr. Crowley.
Thank you. One last thing, guys, and this is to the, this is to the 4 people on the council. I lost 50% of my allocation. So if the MML does happen this year, and I come to the council at an open meeting and ask for the balance, or not the balance, to put back into my account what was there before, I would expect all of you to say yes. So please keep that in mind.
We will.
Well, Councilman Curley,
Yes,
my
sir.
motion was to include this last item from the mayor. So if we'd have to approve that, then if my motion goes through, like we're approving everything then going forward if the policy did go through. So you might not have to worry about that, I guess I'm saying.
Well, yeah, I'll be honest with you. I got the two things that the mayor has taken, but I have not been able to bring it up to say exactly what they are. Maybe you guys have. I haven't done it, only because I don't know how to operate a computer.
Well,
So
maybe you can take some computer classes, man. Can we look up some computer classes for Mr. Curley to take with his money, please? Anything, we have motion and we have support. Let's move right along.
Madam Mayor, could I just get the exact language of the motion from Councilmember DeMonico, and also what the council would be looking from the city attorney as far as drafting a proposed policy?
Sure. So my motion was to first make a policy that would handle the training and education expenses, specifically the 1,500 per council member and 1,725 for the mayor that we have done these last couple years. We'd require any expenses through those line items to come to the city council table before they're incurred. And then I was suggesting sort of like a mission statement where these items that come through us should have a value for the entire city, but it is something that the city council person needs to learn or go to some training to get this, and it'll benefit the entire community. And I just like to have it, retroactive to anything that hasn't already happened yet, and just going forward to any items that would go through that.
Thank you.
Anything else in addition?
Yes, I would like to say something.
Yes,
Um, Thank you, Madam Mayor. Since it was something that I brought up at the last meeting, I think that since it would go back into the budget and probably pay for some expenditures that we are in a deficit for. I think that also in this policy, if this is going to be the policy that we're trying to write up, that the whole entire $7,725 which is allocated for the council and the mayor together, be something that is looked at, not just the 15 per person and then a 1,725 for the mayor. It should be the entire allotment.
well, let me make a comment for that, Madam Mayor, if I might.
oh, yes, sir.
I think if you look at that, and it was kind of talked about a few minutes ago, if you had $15,000 as a lump sum that you're talking about, and one council member spent it all, what do the other 4 do? That's why they divided it up, to say, okay, council persons, you get this much, mayor, you get a couple extra $100 for your fund. But if you put it in one bucket and one pot, one council person could say, well, I've got these things and that it's going to cost $14,500. And that depletes the entire fund for everybody else. And that's exactly why they divided it up. So it would be fair for everybody. And that $1,500, for instance, would pay if you wanted to go to the MML conference or other educational and seminars that you thought was important. So that's why it was divided up.
Madam Mayor?
And I'm not quite finished.
Oh, sorry.
This is the last word you're going to hear from me on this. And Madam Mayor, I don't want you to get upset, but I was told after this whole thing was done, oh, by the way, and I'm not going to tell you who called, that doesn't matter. By the way, you have $750 less in your fund. I said, what? So we chatted a little bit. I guess I would have felt a lot better if I had gotten a call before the fact and an email after the fact. Just a comment. I'm done.
Councilwoman Moore.
To my understanding, if it's something that we all have to vote on, then no one could just use $15,000 because we wouldn't vote for one person to utilize all the money because we would be taking the vote, correct?
So would you think it was fair if somebody came and said, Madam Mayor, I want to spend $14,500 on this really neat thing that it's going to make me a better council person? You think that would be fair, even if they did come to the council table?
Well, the thing is that it's not a matter of whether it's fair or not, but it's a matter of whether the person believes that it would bring something to, to help the constituents of the city. Not that I would say, okay, I'm going to come in, I want to do this thing that costs so much money, but to each his own. It would be a person's individual decision on whether they would have the gall to bring something of that magnitude to the city council, which I don't believe that anybody would, because it would be voted down anyway. And I'm not saying that we can't still say everyone is allocated the 1,500 and the mayor is allocated the 1,725. But what I am saying is that if the people or other people are not using theirs by a certain time, which is what I mentioned last council meeting, it should be able to be utilized by any one of the council members before it's just dissolved for that year. Because my thing is this, I would hate to think that I had a dumb mayor. I mean, seriously. And I would hate to think that I had a dumb city council person. Okay, someone who didn't know what they were doing, know their job, know how to do it effectively and efficiently for the people, because it has to be for the people. So without getting educated or going to a conference or training, then we're not in a know. Then we're staying at a certain level, whereas the rest of the country is moving forward. New things come about. When they came out with the cell phone, that was something new. New things come about all the time. And if a person doesn't learn new things, if they stay exactly the way that they are, where everyone else is growing around them, then we will have a dead city. And in order for our city to grow, we need to be able to grow as individuals to help our city to grow. Because since I lived here, and I've been here 20 years, the city has not grown. In fact, it went in the opposite direction. When I moved here, there was businesses everywhere. There were families everywhere. The houses was filled. You could barely buy property in Eastpointe because we didn't have much available. And now it's different. We're not, for so many years, we have not been growing. So what will help us to grow? What will help us to grow?
Well, I think you said I think you used the word, we don't want a dumb person to be on the council. In the years I've been on council, and all these people are going through my mind right now, we've never had a dumb person on the council or mayor. So And I guess I take exception that the city's going.
I'm
in the
sorry, I
opposite-
didn't mean to
I-
offend you.
I know you didn't mean anybody else, but I'm just telling you that, and all the people that I sat with, there was not one single dumb person. And I guess I take a exception when you say the city is going in the opposite direction. Our housing stock is going crazy. Yes, we have empty stores, but we don't know why they're empty. And I've went through that for a long time. How do we know why it's empty? There's a lot over on 8 Mile Road. There used to be a grocery store they tore down the building. It's been vacant for a lot of years, but how do we know the guy wants $12 million for it? So crazy, out of line. So we don't know why that space is empty. And we don't know why the big block on Kelly is empty. There's a lot of reasons. So you've been here 20 years, so you got to love this city or else you wouldn't be here. And I love this city with all my heart, and with all my soul. I've been here 56 years, and this city is growing positively, and the places are being filled up. It's even hard to find a house here now. So
Well,
that's-
it is.
I told you a few minutes ago I was going to talk anymore, didn't I, Mayor?
Yeah.
So,
I'm
I've done
sorry. I was just figuratively speaking. I didn't mean anything about it. I wasn't calling anybody dumb, because obviously we're not. So that was a figuratively speaking tone. It is coming back. I see it, but it's moving pretty slow.
Well, what speed do you want? You want it high gear, low gear, medium, 10 speed? What do you mean when it's going slow? Explain that. I don't
Well,
understand what you mean.
The situation is that on Gratiot, okay, on Gratiot, a lot of those businesses, like you said, they were open. The bicycle shop is still there, but there was a wheel shop where you can get wheels. Big Boy's gone. A lot of the places that I used to go take my kids, they're not there anymore, and I haven't seen anything replace them. And so it's time for us to be able to move forward and hopefully get some of these businesses, some new businesses in here that will help pay the tax dollars, which will help us as homeowners, because we'll be getting revenue from businesses.
Point of order, Madam Mayor. Can we get back
Yeah.
to the policy and vote on it?
Sorry.
Well, actually, this is about the policy, so they're free to speak.
Okay.
I gave them the permission. As the mayor, I'm the one who makes sure the meeting goes a certain way. So I allowed it. I didn't interrupt them. So
That's fine.
you got,
I just wanted to bring it up.
continue, Ms. Moore. Were you done?
Yes, Madam Mayor, I'm done. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
I'm
But to
done.
close,
I'm done.
you're done too. But to close it out, in order to move our city forward, you have to be in a room with those people who are having those conversations and leadership and new development and things like that, and let them know who you are and who you represent. So when I'm in those rooms that people have never met the mayor of Eastpointe, Michigan, and want to know what our thoughts are from the residents, I'm having those conversations. When I'm in these classes, I am meeting these people who know different levels and have different levels of education, and give me that knowledge, and I can bring it to my city. So that's how you get new businesses. That's how you make new connections and get global and international with other people, because you have to meet other people. You don't meet those people just at an MML or SIMCOD, and that is limiting our resources. And so, like, for instance, the $1,700, I think me and Ms. Doom went back and forth about this, is I was trying to come to council. I think we came to council before because I wanted to get into this mayor's program. And I think it's a mayor's membership. Correct me if I'm wrong, Ms. Doom. And I believe I came to council because if I was in this membership, that the city would have gotten, I believe, for a charity or something like that, like $40,000 or $50,000. And it wasn't granted to me based upon being a member, because they said I was already a member of the mayors of Michigan. But we're losing It only cost less than $2,000, and it would have brought $50,000. And so the limitations of knowledge and what I'm doing and trying to bring to the city lets me know that council needs to be educated and what our role is, not just on policy, but new development and bringing businesses. And some of the classes I'm taking, maybe you all need to take these classes too. Because when you meeting these people, these are billionaires and millionaires that I am meeting to bring money to the city. That's why when we tried to pass the Ford Foundation, when they wanted to bring the container homes, we passed that down and it was voted down. The Ford Foundation does a lot for communities. They bring scholarships. They help with funding. They help with things that we're trying to do. And when people talk about when business owners and billionaires bring money to a city, then another billionaire wants to invest too. Then another billionaire wants to invest because they're following the money. And if you know about money and you know about development and you know about business, like the classes that I take, you know about the conversations that I have, the conversations that I'm having with Amazon, the conversations that I'm having with Uber and Lyft to bring those businesses that bring new jobs to the city of Eastpointe. Those are real conversations. And when you're sitting at the table with billionaires, they don't want small-minded people. They want people with degrees that talk the talk that they talk, that understand development, that understand zoning and planning and clean water. And some of us don't, and I'm not gonna lie, I don't know all of it either. And I wanna get Eastpointe back to a level of where it used to be as far as businesses. And in order to do that, I have to be in a room with those people. And most of the time when I'm in those rooms with those people, I pay to be there because I want the betterment of the city of Eastpointe. That's why I went to Harvard. I didn't ask Eastpointe to pay $15,000. I went and I sat in the room and I did an interview to get that money because I want to be in the room with people from all around the world who sit at Harvard so I can bring those ideas that they are doing in Australia, that they're doing in Africa, and bring those ideas and businesses to the city of Eastpointe. If we're going to move forward, we're way behind. And with this whole conversation that we took almost an hour is shameful. You took this long when you guys want to put a picture of your mayor on the wall. Now let's move forward and talk about something that makes sense because this didn't make any sense. We have motion and support. Call the roll, please.
Councilmember DeMonico,
Yes.
Councilmember Lucido,
Yes.
Councilmember Curley,
Yes.
Mayor Owens,
No.
Councilmember Moore. You're muted, sorry.
No.
Moving right along with the discussion on outside basketball courts brought up by Councilman Curley. Councilman, you have the floor.
Oh, thank you, Madam Mayor. This is something that council members and mayors have been talking about for a long time. This is something that the administration has been talking about for a long time. And this is something that the Parks Commission has been talking about for a long time. Yeah, you know, I'm just going to come out, Madam Mayor, and say what people said however long ago that they took down the basketball courts. I know on Kennedy Park, it was right where the hockey rink is, roller hockey rink is now, right across the street from residential areas. And people complained that it was too loud and people were swearing and you got to take those things down. So, and I don't know how many years it was. I don't know, maybe Gary remembers, unless he's not that old. I don't know, but it was a long time. So I think it's about time that we take action, not for you, not for me, but for the kids in this area, for the kids of Eastpointe. And we can't do that unless we keep talking about something and say, wouldn't it be nice if we had basketball courts? But this is our time we can do it. The Parks Commission has been thinking about this. And matter of fact, they have a place where I hope they come back and recommend two full courts, not half courts. Really can't play a full game on a half court when you have 6 people or 8 people playing. So, but they're thinking about over Memorial Field, where if you drive by there, there's this big mound of mulch, that area. Every direction you look, go over there. Every direction you look, there's not houses. So I guess you can stand in the middle of the court and scream. No one's going to hear you, unless it's at drugstore. So this is why I brought it up, and I would hope that all 5 of us would say, hey, that's a great idea. Let's take by consensus or by a vote to ask the Parks Commission to come up with a plan and present it to the council as quickly as possible. I know they're meeting, I think, either this week or next week, Gary, right? Next week. So that's my pitch. And I'm doing this for the KIDS, the kids of this community. And we're always worrying about taking care of me, the senior. We're always worried about taking care of other things. But when's the last time we literally took care of the kids? I know we put playground equipment in, but let's do this for the kids.
Mayor Pro Tem.
I'll yield the floor right now, man.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Curley. Thank you, Madam Mayor. Yes, I've been a fan of putting some basketball courts back into our city for a long time. So I'm happy you brought that up. And yes, as liaison on the Parks Commission, they have discussed the basketball courts. We were hoping to get a cell tower in that area. And we were actually hoping to kind of use that funding from that cell tower at that time to put in the basketball courts. But that cell tower has not been put in for whatever reason, but this was a while back. So it might have been before Miss Doom, so she probably doesn't know why it wasn't put in. But it is something I'd be interested in moving forward with. My only recommendation would be, because it's not in this year's budget, and I'm always like the stickler when it comes to like only doing things in the budget, is that even if we have the Parks Commission work on something, it's something that we can discuss furthermore when we have our budget workshop that we scheduled tonight. And then we can ask administration to find the money and put it in next year's budget.
Anybody else like to speak on this?
Just one more item. I was over at Love Life Church. I don't know if Kevin and his wife are still here, Pastor Lancaster. And I had a very lengthy discussion with 2 gentlemen who were interested in helping the city if the city votes yes, we want basketball courts. So I'll find out from Pastor Lancaster who I was talking about, since they didn't give me their name, and pass that on to Gary or somebody on the Parks Commission. But go ahead, Sarah. I'll yield.
Thomas Barnes had his hand up, so maybe he was one of the gentlemen that you spoke with.
There. Oh,
How you doing, Mr. Barnes?
there he is. Yay.
How you doing, Mr. Barnes? I'll let you briefly speak, because when you talk, you can go on and on. And we took too long on that last item. So if you give us a small briefing of some of the things you've done and how this will be a benefit for our city and our community. Good evening and Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you as well, Madam Mayor. And thank you for allowing me just a moment to speak. Addressing the changing demographics in the city of Eastpointe, you have to know that because of this changing demographic, 48% of your population in the city of Eastpointe is now African American. In the age of social justice reform, the NBA has embraced this social justice change and therefore have gained a bunch more fans in the children of your community. As I drive back and forth through Eastpointe, I see a lot of basketball rims sitting in the middle of your city streets, right, which is a safety hazard for the children in your communities. It only takes one drunk driver or one person who's angry behind the wheel of a car to pull out and hit a child that's playing basketball in the street, when that child should have been safely playing basketballs in areas where they would have had no cars or no traffic. Additionally, I want to say, I know that basketball courts have there's a negative spin. There's a reason why the basketball rims were taken down. But from our experience, that has been very racially motivated. In addressing your changing demographic in the city of Eastpointe, I think by embracing your children and embracing the culture that goes along with your children will go a long way in winning your community over. But it is a full court buy-in. It's not something that you can do half-heartedly. So in doing the courts, our group was able to do 2 basketball courts. We refurbished a court in Mount Clemens in 2019, and then we refurbished another court in Clinton Township in 2020. So the first one was outside of the Jermaine Jackson Community Center in Mount Clemens. The second one is at Prince Drury Park in Clinton Township. Please feel free to take a drive and look at either one of the courts that we did. You can see that we did a public art mural that was in connection with the school mascots, the school colors, so that there was not only buy-in from us, but buy-in from the kids and the community members by naming the court in Mount Clemens after a former girls basketball coach, Michigan State Hall of Fame girls basketball coach. It gave the community some buy-in. The mural project that we did in Clinton Township has the dragon logo along with the names of all of the elementary and middle schools in the city of Clinton Township. And I'm sorry, in the Clintondale School District, as kind of us paying homage to the people who live in that community. And we regularly go back and check on the courts. We regularly go and change the nets at the courts, clean the trash up at the courts. And now today, we have just received a donation of basketballs from the Detroit Pistons in their Basketball for All program, which are in Eastpointe as we speak, that we'll be able to distribute to the children and families of Eastpointe to make basketball equitable in the city of Eastpointe. So,
Thank you, Mr. Barnes. Thank you. Councilman Crowley, since it's your item on it, yeah.
Well, actually, I'm speechless. Tom, thank you. I know we're on the air and you probably don't want to give your phone number out to Gary unless you already talked to Gary. And Gary, you got a public number, maybe we can give it to Tom and you guys can get together and see, this doesn't happen by chance. This has not happened by chance, folks. And I'm not going to get into my personal view of why this didn't happen by chance, but it's going to be a godsend to our city that we are going to have so many happy kids. You can't even imagine. Look at how hard they play out on the street, where Tom mentioned, but it's so dangerous. But can you just think about how happy they're going to be when they're at a full court and a beautiful court and beautiful rims and backboards and the whole thing. So Tom, I'm so happy that you're here tonight. I didn't realize you were going to be here. So how can we get Tom to get hold of Gary or vice versa, Gary?
Well, they can do that on the side. I don't want to mess up what we're doing because now we're telling
Okay, can
people
you
in
do
the
it
audience how to talk, and that's not how
Okay.
we're going to run this
All
meeting.
right.
You used to be a mayor, you know how it goes. So that's, all that, we do all that at another time. But we want to move forward with, this is your discussion. So what were you trying to put together? What was your plan, Councilman?
What's my plan?
Yeah, to put it at what parks?
Your plan. That's a good question. Okay, we're coming down to, okay, what do you want to do? I guess I would ask Richard, should we make a motion or can we just do it by consensus that we would have the Parks Department write up something and present it to us?
I always prefer motions, but I will leave that.
Yeah, I keep forgetting you're very conservative, so, okay, yeah, you don't do anything with Richard unless, you gotta be conservative. Okay, Madam Mayor, if I may, I'll make a motion that the council directs the Parks Commission to write up a proposal to install 2 basketball courts at Memorial Field. That should cover it for now.
Okay, thank
And
you.
we have support.
Motion and support, please call the roll.
Councilmember Curley,
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry, Councilman Monaco.
One comment before and just about the money, when we talked a year ago, we had set aside 25,000 from a cell tower at Spindler Park. And then we have 30,000 for miscellaneous park improvements. I don't know if we've used that yet either. So maybe that can help. We can use some of that funds this fiscal year, maybe to plan it or whatnot. I don't know, maybe Mr. Blum can let us know later about that. And thank you, Mr. Barnes, for coming out.
Yeah,
I noticed your full court pun in the middle there, and I read about the basketball for all too. I'm happy to see it is out in the suburbs, because reading about it looked like it was just for city of Detroit. So maybe we can take advantage of that a bit. And I think that was mainly what I wanted to add, but we did talk, it was the May 8th, 2019 meeting where we were talking about a one-time payment for, it was the Spindler Park cell tower, I think, but we said we put it towards parks. So maybe we can play with that money to put these forward. And I look forward to putting a couple rinks out there. And actually, I do want to comment too, actually, on the basketball courts we had at Kennedy. I guess I didn't even know that, but I did play hockey on those courts as hockey there as a kid, and we were loud there. So I agree with Mr. Barnes here on his assessment. I think let's just move forward now at this point, and let's put some basketball courts back in the community. But, we had some loud kids, and I'm sure they were saying a few things you wouldn't want to hear across the street too. But hey, if you move across the street from a park too, you should expect a little bit of noise. I think that's all, Madam Mayor. Thanks.
well,
Okay,
well,
thank you.
Carly, that basketball court at Memorial Field was there when you were still in grade school, so that was a long time ago. All right,
Okay,
thank
motion and
you.
support.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Please call the roll.
Councilmember Curley,
Yes,
Councilmember Lucido,
Yes.
Mayor Owens,
Yes.
Councilmember Moore,
Yes.
Councilmember DeMonico.
Yes.
Thank you. The
Thank
next
you.
item. Thank you. Thank you, everyone that participated. Mr. Barnes for coming, and Pastor Lancaster and the Love Life community. Also, so we're going to our next item, which I added is the Eastpointe promise. I did some research, and since I'm a big fanatic on education, I looked at doing a scholarship from the city of Eastpointe to give funds to the high school graduates. And I believe that it's a whole bunch of states that do it. Some states don't, some states do, but the state of Michigan actually does. And it's only 4 cities in the state of Michigan that do it. It's Pontiac, Detroit does it, Lansing, and I forget it's another state, city that does it in the state of Michigan. But Eastpointe is not one of those cities that do it. And I would like the city manager to put something together where we can do a scholarship for our high school students at Eastpointe High School. And I was looking at some of the requirements would possibly
election
be,
results from Georgia.
some of those requirements might be this. Of course, the student has to be a resident of Eastpointe, go to Eastpointe school, have a certain grade point average, have done community service, and 3 letters of recommendation, and also an essay. But before they come and get the scholarship, they have to exhaust other funds, like they have to have, financial aid and things like that. And we'll look at the balance and help them pay the balance. We will, and it has to be up to council. So we have to actually do some more research on it, but see how many you want to give out, and how much we want to give. That would be something council would have to put together and see what other communities have done. And I was looking at some statistics as well of Eastpointe, and it's at 87%. We have 87% people, city of Eastpointe, that have high school diplomas. 87%. I'm happy about that. But the very highest level of a bachelor's degree in Eastpointe is only 15%. So that's really low. So it's letting me know that we need to educate more of our high schools to get them better prepared. And it also lets me know the level of education where our city has. I'm not saying you have to have a certain degree to be smart. I'm not saying that. But what I'm saying is I was looking at the statistics and seeing where our education level is and how can I better that? How can we as council better that? And I feel like some people have reasons of not going to school. Some people don't want to go to school, and I get that. And some people do want to go to school, and they have a deterrence on doing that because they don't have the funding. And me coming from a single mom, I was able to get funding with financial aid and help from the government because we didn't have she couldn't afford it. And so I wasn't given certain things like scholarships and things like that. So I want to make sure that since I didn't have it, I want other kids to have it. And so I think this Eastpointe, we can change the name. It don't have to be the Eastpointe Promise. I was also thinking about the Eastpointe Promise to Success or Eastpointe Path to Success. And, you know, it just be something, and we can probably doctor it up and consistent with, I believe, like I said, Detroit has one, Pontiac has one, and it's called the Detroit Promise. And they're actually affiliated with an organization of other states. It's called the Promise. And we do if you guys do your research, you can see that other states have, there's the Promise. So New York probably has the New York Promise or certain things like that. And they allocate a certain amount of money to college students with those requirements so that they can get a good start on going to college. And so that's why I put that on here. I was looking at the statistics of our city, where we're at, education, financial, economic, social, and things like that. And when you know, as mayor and as council, we look at the levels of growth and we see what we can do to make it, you know, our city grow. What we lack and what we don't lack. And where we lack, we need to find the resources to help out with that. That is our position in addition to policy. And so in addition to policy, and what I do is I try to find ways to increase education in our community, businesses, and more revenue and tax increase. And to find those things, I do a lot of research. And I also, with education classes, I have met people that can help me do those things as well. So Council, you have any, Mayor Pro Tem?
Yes, so Madam Mayor, I'm looking it up right now.
Okay.
So it looks like the Michigan Excellence in Education Foundation is the one that runs that.
Okay.
So maybe if Ms. Doom wanted to reach out to them, it's MEEF for short, and see if, you know, they would be interested in adding another city. I think, yeah, definitely. If we can get them to come and give the students of Eastpointe scholarships, what we need to do to qualify, I think that it sounds like an excellent idea.
Madam Mayor, I concur with the both of you. That again, it's at KIDS, helping the kids out as much as we can. And if our city managers can get a hold of them and find out if we can be qualified or whatever it is, and yeah, that's an exciting thing to get involved in.
Right, so that's the next step. We want to make sure that the kids have, if basketball doesn't work for them, they have another avenue to fall back on. So education is always a plus when it comes to me. And I always want people to be educated, and I want our kids and our residents to be better than me. And I always try to find ways to do that. So do we need to, we have, Ms. Doom, you would just probably find those, you'll look more into that and then come back to council with that?
Yes, thank you, I will. I've written it all down. Sorry, I've got a cold.
Okay, feel better.
Keep myself quiet, but yes, I've written everything down. I'll do that research for you.
Okay, thank you so much. And now we're going to go to item, do we need to do we don't need to do a vote on that for her to do the research. I think when she comes back with it and we'll look at how it's laid out, then we'll move forward with that. Okay, sounds great. Moving right along to item J is to schedule the city manager's review. Councilwoman, Mayor Pro Tem Lucido.
Yes, so our city manager has been with us for a year now. Congratulations. So it's time for her annual review. I know we did a 6-month one, but we took that precaution and put that in our contract this year just to, you know, make sure that we had that just in case we needed it, and it all worked out good. So now it's time for her yearly review. So I was just going to propose maybe, you know, after in closed session, after one of our meetings, whether it be, you know, the 16th or the 2nd of March, or even the 16th of March, it doesn't matter. I'd say one of the next 3 meetings would probably be close enough for the 1-year mark for us to schedule it.
Okay. Council?
March 2nd sounds good for me. It sounds like the Ides of March.
Okay. March 2nd. And again, Ms. Doom, if you would like that to go in closed session, please just send us that email in writing. Thank you very much. Moving right,
Real
go ahead,
quick.
Councilman.
All right, can we just vote on that real quick?
Yes.
All right, yeah, I'll motion then for March 2nd to be city manager review.
Support.
Moved and supported. Please call the roll.
Councilmember DeMonico,
Yes.
Councilmember Lucido,
Yes.
Councilmember Moore,
Yes.
Councilmember Curley,
Yes.
Mayor Owens.
Yes. Next item is payroll and bills.
Madam Mayor, I'll motion to pay the bills in the amount of $5,147,927.25.
Second.
Moved and supported. Please call the roll.
Councilmember Lucido,
Yes.
Councilmember Moore,
Yes.
Councilmember DeMonico,
Yes.
Councilmember Curley,
Yes.
Mayor Owens.
Yes. Thank you. Moving right along. We are at the second hearing of the public. For those that missed the first hearing of the public, you have 3 minutes to speak. Please state your name and residency. Please be respectful of all of those that are listening in. And Ms. Walton will let me know when someone is ready to speak.
Mayor, Mary Hall Rayford has raised her hand to speak.
Yes, ma'am. Happy New Year and good evening.
Good evening. It took me a minute to actually unmute here. Couple of things I wanted to say. Happy New Year to you all.
Thank you.
And at the beginning of the meeting, I did not mean to interrupt the start of the meeting, but we have a lot of work to do on doing things more respectfully. And so I would encourage people to pay attention to that. The other thing I wanted to talk about was the fact that when we hire someone, we generally have information, their work history, educational history, or confirmation to support whether they know what they're doing or not when they come into a job. That's not true of an elected official. So I sincerely think that before someone is allowed, and I know this is not, a constitutional issue, but I think the residents would appreciate knowing more about every person that runs. And if you have a degree or you have certain work experience, residents need to know that. And because so many people fail to complete candidate information for the public, it's really difficult to make a wise decision about who it is we're voting for. So I would encourage everyone listening to pay more attention to what's going on, get to know the candidates, what they know, and we won't have to have this kind of conversation about who's dumb. I really don't think taxpayer money should be used to support anybody's college degree or credits of that nature. And just for clarity, I would love for someone to explain the FOIA process to determine, so the residents can see that these funds are being used appropriately and it's going to benefit the city and not just an individual, because there's a difference between what's best for the city versus what's best for an individual. And I hope you all have a good evening. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Mayor Michael Jones has raised his hand.
Good evening and Happy New Year, Mr. Jones.
A happy new year to y'all as well. And boy, y'all know how to just go and talk and talk. Boy, I wasn't gonna say nothing at first, but I have a lot of insight on some things today. Me being a resident of Eastpointe for 8 years now. And in the last 6 years, I've had a youth organization to where I tried to expand to Eastpointe. And I came into a lot of complications with a lot of different things and areas. It seems like now, hopefully, yeah, even with the basketball course, that's a plus. But I've had some conversations in the past with Love Lace Church as well. I've been to Kennedy Park, seen some people over there, Kelly Middle School, Eden Academy, where the public housing is right now. We originally started there and then they moved from over there. The Deerfield School, where they're about to tear that school down and make a residence facility now. I was even over there at one point trying to get there. And ultimately, my organization had to go to the Montessori School on 9 Mile, which is in Warren, which it was kind of like upsetting me being an Eastpointe resident, and I have to go into Warren to do things for the youth. And so this history that I'm speaking of, as far as what I learned, that That's one of the major problems with us. We saying we have some goods and we have some bads. And the bads is, I think we're trying to hold on to too many things that was going on 25, 30 years ago. And I was around then. Yeah, I didn't live in Eastpointe at that time, but Eastpointe had a different stigma to where people didn't want to deal with East Detroit. And I think East Detroit didn't want to deal with nobody on the outside. And you got to stop feeling like that. And that's the reason why these businesses are moving away. And yes, we need to go and start interacting with other committees, other organizations, and other cities of the natures, and yeah, and bring in some of these businesses, because there's a lot of grant money out there. But if you keep secluding yourself and trying to be inner city and try to handle pay for everything yourself, you're gonna keep having those problems. So we start looking to outsiders to come in and help. A lot of these issues won't be a money problem, because we seem to have a whole lot of money problems that we shouldn't have. Because there's a lot of things here in Eastpointe we should have, to where we shouldn't have to go to other cities to go and get. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else would like to speak?
Mayor Thomas Barnes would like to speak.
Good evening and Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. I will keep it brief because we've been here for a while. So I would like to say, first of all, thank you to Mayor Owens, and thank you to Harvey Curley for coming out and attending our Toys for Tots drive at Love Life Family Christian Center. The Lancasters were just so wonderful and opening the door to our youth organization as we partner with the Macomb County Ministerial Alliance. We were able to bless over 700 families with toys for their children. And these were 700 families throughout the entire county who all converged on Eastpointe to pick up toys for their kids. COVID-19 has taken so much away from people in our community. So to be able to give back in such an amazing way was awesome for us. Not only were we able to bless over 700 families, we blessed 37 community organizations that came into Eastpointe to see your wonderful city. During the time that I've been spending in Eastpointe over the last 2 months, I will tell you for sure that I've gained about 15 pounds from going to the Eastpointe Bakery. It is the most wonderful place in your city. Those ladies, I think that they put some kind of drug in the food to make you come back. It is delicious. I hope one day that they will open a little sub bakery out here in Mount Clemens so I don't have to drive so far. But it has just been an absolutely wonderful experience in dealing with the city of Eastpointe up until this point. Like in Mount Clemens, as you grow, you're gonna have some growing pains, but as long as everybody is growing together in the same direction, I think you guys are on the verge of some really great stuff. Your city business market is booming. I enjoy shopping there. Like there's so much stuff to do in Eastpointe now that wasn't there 10 years ago. I appreciate you. Thank you so much for welcoming me in. Thank you, Mayor Owens. Thank you, Pastor Lancaster, First Lady Lancaster, and Harvey. It has been a pleasure.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Anyone else would like to speak at this time?
Mayor John would like to speak.
Good evening, John, and Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to everybody. I came late to the meeting and came amidst the conversation about education, which I'm not going to talk about because y'all belabored that. I was heartbroken at the passing of one of our city employees, and it made me think about our city employees a little bit more. I think we have some of the most amazing talent in this city. And I don't know if anybody truly, everybody's quick to criticize and bitch and complain, but how many people are willing to actually raise their hand and say something positive? It happens very infrequently. So when you go on to the reviled Eastpointe residents group and you see people bitching and complaining about potentially brown water, gunshots, or whatever going on, let's stop and think about the people that are reporting to the police. What conversations are being had with the police? Are you bitching and complaining, or are you actually standing up and saying, hey, something's going on in my neighborhood? Let's give some credit to our boys in blue. Let's give some credit to our police department, our fire department. Let's give some credit to our DPW team, our parks people. And more importantly, let's give some credit to the people working in the city. We have hired amazing talent. I have great respect for Ms. Doom, probably the finest city manager we have had in my time in this city. And I think, we hired these people to do a job, and they're doing a damn good job. So I want to give them all publicly a shout out. This has been a rough year for everybody, and they have done amazing. So that's all I have to say. And please open your wallets to the Eastpointe Residents Group, who is putting together the EASE project. Support equality. It's not about black, white, gay, straight, Christian, non-Christian. It's about people getting along. And when we can't have a dialogue with people, a sincere dialogue, because they're going to be scared to be called a racist or a bigot or a homophobe, when you can't have a conversation, it's done. It's time to have open, frank conversations, not hatred. That's it. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Thank you. Anyone else would like to speak at this time?
Mayor, Miss Tonya Gladney would like to speak next.
Yes, ma'am. Good evening and Happy New Year. We can't hear you, ma'am. My name is Simon. Thank you.
And Happy New Year to everyone that's on the line. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Good. I just want to talk about a couple of things that would discuss pertaining to the finances, because that's very important as the mayor and city council. And one of the things that was brought up with Mr. DeMonico was about the funding that was used from you. When he first brought it up, it was pertaining to city council, when you was a city council person. And one of my concerns was why that was not addressed when Mayor Pickley was the mayor, instead of that being addressed now. The other concern is you all supposed to be working together and not against each other. Mayor, you brought up a very important matter when you said that you want to be more educated. I commend you for that. That's what some of those funds can be used for. But to know as of today that 2 of the city council people, or a little bit more, have sat on city council and have not taken advantage of anything really to assist the community or even themselves as an individual, it doesn't look good. Far as the other funding that was brought up, and Mr. Bloom has missed a lot of things and spent a lot of funds. Is anybody keeping up with that? We pay as city taxpayers, I'm just gonna round it off because I don't have the exact number before me. It appears to be, we pay almost $200 and some thousand to the city attorney, or a little bit more. And so if I want to ask that question, those are tax dollars for what? So when you want to follow the money, follow what we already have in budget and who we allocating it to. Yes, the city of Eastpointe is diversified now, but the police department realistically does not reflect the diversified that we have. And what I mean by that is this. I love the fact that the new director that we have, he does a splendid job, but we have more white officers than we have black officers. Forgive me if I'm very blunt and frank with this. So if it's supposed to be diversified, then let it reflect that. We have a lot of dollars, millions of dollars going to the police department for what? I want them to be paid because they do an excellent job and they always come. But if we're following money, let's follow the money to what it is in the budget to how it should be.
Have 5 more minutes, ma'am. I'll just a couple more, not 5 more minutes. I wish you did because you're preaching, but your time is done.
Okay.
So thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else would like to speak?
I'm still looking in the chat. I don't see anything on video yet.
Okay.
I don't see anything else.
Okay, thank you. Seeing none, we're going to close the second hearing of the public. And we're going to go to Mayor and council reports. Starting with Councilman Curley.
Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Welcome.
Just a few things. The latest figures that we got from the county indicates that we had about 1,306 people that have tested positive, and nearly 45 people have died in our community. So I'll say once again, on my knees, that get tested. See what's going on inside your body. It doesn't take that long to do it. There are so many places that are giving that test now, and you could very well save a life, one of your own family, for that matter. I read 2 days ago that an 8-year-old girl was shot in the head. So two things that aren't exactly nice to talk about, but it seems to me sometimes we as human beings major on minors when we talk and minor on majors. And if you don't know what that is, call me and I'll explain to you. Major on minors and minor on majors. And we need to start majoring on everything with a minor outlook. I think we need to hold hands and get together. I can recall in 1985, they had a program called Hands Across America. Does anybody remember that? It was 1985. I took about 15 youth from our church down to Toledo, and 6 million people held hands at the appropriate time for 15 minutes. That's a lot of people. That's a lot of praying. That's a lot of getting together with people you didn't know and holding hands and trying to make a difference in the world. So I would encourage us to hold hands and major on everything, both minor and majors. And I think we'll get along very well. So remember all the people who are in the hospital with the virus. I know now that a number of people who have passed away in Eastpointe that I didn't know before, and I was told probably 3 weeks after they had passed away. So it happens to our community, and most of you know somebody who passed away. So thank you. God bless everybody, and that's it, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, sir. Councilman DeMonico, please.
Thanks, Mayor. First, just a couple quick items. Ms. Hall Rayford, about FOIAs. You could email the city manager, or you could just email me. I'd be happy to forward it on about any FOIA request, frankly, that anybody has. We can get it to the city manager and get those answered. As for Ms. Gladney for the education expenses, Ms. Pixley had never exceeded her allotment. That's why at least I had never brought it up. And for adding a report to the meeting for our Director of Public Safety, I would just disagree that we do that, because he reports to Ms. Doom and she can report on anything from the Director of Public Safety. I guess maybe we can discuss that or something in the future, but we've had the city attorney and city manager give the reports because they directly report to council. And then Randy Blum, the finance director, used to report directly to council, and it was recently changed, but it was asked that he stay on and come to all council meetings years back when there was a vote of the city. And then the tragic accident with our DPW employee, Brian Theobald. There's a distant cousin I've met through Facebook, and this is a good story. Through Facebook, I only know her through Facebook. Her name's Sherry DeMonico, and she's got a son, Brendan. Well, I've learned, since Brian's passing, that Brendan had been cutting lawns with Brian on the weekends. And, as probably most of you know, right, if if you work with someone, you're not necessarily going to, for Christmas, bring them a present, but this is what Brendan did because he looked up to Brian, working with him. And, you know, I don't know what else was going on outside of work, but Brendan looked up to Brian. He brought him over a Christmas present. Brian had a Christmas bonus for Brendan. And, you know, he had just seen him recently just before passing, and this story was shared with me. Brendan, you know, said Brian was one of the hardest working people he knew. I'm sure, sorry. I'm sure most of the city employees would agree that worked with him. But I wanted to, you know, share that positive story about Brian, and that's all I had, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Councilman Monaco. I'm gonna go with Councilwoman Moore, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Welcome.
Although I never met Brian, my heart goes out to his entire family, simply because being in maintenance and being in construction, I've been in all my life. And it is a very risky job, alongside of being like a window washer. I think is in one of the top 5 for casualties in the United States. And when I heard of the accident that happened, it was like, even though I'd never met him, he was a fallen brother, because I am also in trades like that and in maintenance like that. So I just want to say, God bless your whole entire family. He is with you. I'm sure he would be truly, truly missed. And although I didn't know him, I feel that I lost a brother. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, ma'am. Mayor Pro Tem.
Sorry. Thank you, Madam Mayor. Yes, I just want to take a moment to, you know, send my condolences to the Theobald family, to all of his coworkers. I know he was very much appreciated at our DPW, along with many other of our city employees that knew him. I only had the privilege a few times of meeting Mr. Theobald in passing. I never really, you know, had the opportunity to really get to know him, but I do know he was well respected in the city, and I just want to send my thoughts and prayers to all of his family and friends. That's all I have this evening, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Well, this started off as a great New Year council meeting. And I want to thank everybody that attended. I'm glad everybody is safe and enjoyed their families. I want to say thank you to the Lancasters, Pastor Lancaster and his wife, First Lady and Love Life, and Mr. Barnes, and also additional people that worked with him to make sure the Toys for Tots happened right here in Eastpointe. And hopefully we can continuously do that in Eastpointe, particularly our city. Out of all the cities that you could have chose, you chose the city of Eastpointe. And I thank you for that. And also we have a business owner, actually his business, he owns the Old Hertz rental, and he has another business, and he came and reached out to me, and he fed all the seniors for Christmas. And I just want to openly say thank you, Mr. Jack, and you know, your colleague, for not only doing that, but you know, reaching out, even though you don't live there, live in Eastpointe, but you not only invest in your community with having a business here, because he still has that business, but you know, using your funds to reach out. He ended up emailing me and asking me what were the needs are and how can we help during this time. And I said, well, we already did the turkeys for the low income. Can you help me with the seniors? And he said, whatever you need me to do. And I am so happy to be working with people that email me and contact me and ask me, what can we do to help serve you, help make you a better mayor? Not always complaining or saying what I'm not doing, but calling me and emailing me and telling me what I am doing and how they wish their mayor was like that, and giving me advice on how to be a better mayor. So I really appreciate people who call me and email me and let me know how I can better serve you, you know, and how I can do that. Also, I want to just talk about some of the classes since it was such a big thing. The Citizen Planner, the Watershed, MML, SimCog. I went to a police officer training. I believe I went there with the deputy chief of police, Mr. Kaiser. He was looking at me like, why am I there? But because I wasn't a police officer anymore, even though I served for 11 years. I want to know some of the techniques to help better serve our community. That was somewhere in Oakland County, so I went to that police officer training. I went to the Mackinac Policy Conference. I'm gonna tell you why. One, I went because no one has ever went in the history of Eastpointe, and I want to know what it was about and more. And it talked about policy, it talked about change, and the people there were dynamic. They were powerful people. Dan Gilbert, he ended up getting sick, but he was one of the power players that were there. Stacey Abrams, who ran for governor of Georgia, who had so many resources, were there, and she spoke. You had the governor of Michigan that was there. You had senators, your state rep, and people that you support that were there speaking on policies and how to bring more businesses. The Skillman Foundation was there. So many other people that I was able to talk to and partner with that I would never have been able to get in that room if it wasn't for the residents of Eastpointe. And I gave each and every one of them my card and let them know. And most of them remember Eastpointe as East Detroit. So it's funny, some of the people that remember Eastpointe, but they remember that East Detroit, they didn't know that they had a councilwoman that looked like me, or they didn't know. They asked me what we needed. So it was I was in the right room at the right time having these conversations. And so, and most of them wasn't prepared as I was, always represent the city of Eastpointe on all that I do. I was in the right room at the right time talking to people about where I want to see my city. And in order to do that, like I said, the Eastpointe residents allowed me to do that. And I want to say thank you. And anytime I do something, I work hard for you. I even pay for my own stay there. I drove all the way to Mackinac myself with my own gas and my own car. And I didn't even stay on the island. I paid for my own room and board, my own money. You all paid for the conference, and that was it. And so anything that I do is for the betterment of the community. And when I better community, of course, I'm going to better myself. Anytime you help someone, you become better. And so, yes, if I get a certificate, if I get a degree, whatever I do it for the betterment of Eastpointe. And trust me, the $1,700 would not pay for a degree. I had a degree before I came to Eastpointe. I would have many degrees after. But what the residents do for me, I appreciate it. And let you know, your taxpayer money is everything we do is open and conversation. Now, the $10,000 we spent earlier, which Council de Monaco talked about on Christmas lights, that's insane. But people do whatever they want when they want to do it, and he didn't make that a big issue, which is a concern to me as well. Anyway, moving forward to something more serious, is I want to talk about Brian Thibault and his family. We talk about him being a great DPW worker. We talk about his life, working for the city of Eastpointe. But I really want to focus on him being a father and a husband. And a wife lost her husband, and some kids lost their dad. And we want to continuously pray for them, because I have my dad and my husband and things like that. So I don't know how it feels to lose a husband, and I don't know how it feels to lose a dad. And I would never understand how that feels right now at this age. So let's continuously pray for this family. Let them get peace. I called the wife of Mr. Thibault, and I understand she wasn't ready to answer the phone, but I left a message to let her know that council and the mayor and the residents of Eastpointe are praying for her, and we're here if she needs us. And I ask you all to give her space and respect the family's wishes at this time. So please don't try to go reach out if they don't ask for that. They want their time. It's something that happened. It's a new year. Who wants to lose a family member in a new year? Let them have their time to figure this out, because she probably still don't believe what's going on. And let the family reach out to us if they need be. I don't want to push anybody or try to, let them have their time. Even when the media tried to call me and ask me what happened, I didn't answer most of those phone calls, because it wasn't about my name getting a newspaper or what the mayor said or how the mayor feels. I want to know how she feels. And as the mayor that you elected, before policy, before all this, I'm a person first. and I care about what's going on. And I want to be careful of what I say to the media and what's already out there. If she didn't want certain things out there, I didn't say it until the family said it. And we want to continuously respect people's privacy and their family. And if they want something to be known, let them say it. And so moving right along, I want this to be a positive year. Again, if people can come onto council meetings to bash council or their mayor, please have enough respect and email us and tell us how we can better serve you and how we can find those resources and how we can better educate ourselves in moving our city forward, because we want to do that. I have 2 more years and I will give you the best 2 years of my life to bring new businesses to the city and new resources. And I'm going to continuously do that. So moving right along, we're going to go into closed session. If you guys want to stay, who's the participants, you're welcome to stay. We're just closing out the council meeting after. And I don't know how long this closed session going to be, but you're welcome to stay when we go back into open session. But can I get a motion for attorney-client privilege communication for enterprise lease agreement? Oh, Mayor Pro Tem.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Madam Mayor. Can we just get a 5-minute break before we go into closed session?
Sure, with a 5-minute break.
Thank you.
Thank you everyone for attending as well.
Oh, and then I guess I'll motion to go into closed session at 9:40.
Second.
Go ahead.
Did I get support?
Support, yeah.
Okay, thank you. Motion is supported to go into closed session for attorney-client privilege concerning an enterprise lease agreement. Can you please
Councilmember,
call the roll, please?
sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Councilmember Lucido,
Yes.
Councilmember Curley,
Yes.
Mayor Owens,
Yes.
Councilmember Moore,
Yes.
Councilmember DeMonico.
Yes.
Thank you. We're going into closed session again. We will have every participant go into another room. You're welcome to stay. Thank you all. Have a happy new year. Stay prayerful.